Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm delighted, as always, to have with me the legend himself, Mr. Kevin Barry. Kev, how are we doing?
Raz, I'm doing great, mate, and always a pleasure to be on IFL with you, guy.
No, absolutely. Kev, I don't know where to start.
Nice hat, Raz.
Oh, thank you.
I think Tyson Fury's got one of those.
Well, this Marisa Suleiman gave me this, so shout out Marisa Suleiman. Kev, obviously, it was an epic fight on Saturday night. The reason why I kind of wanted to touch base with you, I know Fury was in your gym training lead up to the night itself. Did you expect the fight to be as epic as it was?
I don't think anybody thought we were going to get a fight like that. One for the ages. You know, it was definitely a history-making trilogy. We knew it was going to be fireworks. A lot of people were expecting very similar to Fight 2. We knew there was always the chance that Deontay Wilder could land that right hand that he has, but nobody ever thought that we were going to get such an epic history-making fight as, you know, Fury Wilder Fight 3. When you look at the 3 fights, Raz, 9 knockdowns, you know, Fury down 4 times, Wilder down 5 times. And I think the most definitive thing about the whole trilogy was the ending. It left no questions. It left no room for discussion. You know, Tyson Fury knocked Deontay Wilder spark out cold. And he made a statement, I am the #1 heavyweight in the world.
No, absolutely. Kev, he obviously teamed up with Malik Scott, and we touched on that in our last interview. What did you kind of make of that opening round where Wilder was putting quite some force in that jab, but maintaining that distance? Looks like he was trying to set him up for kind of the overhand right.
Raz, not just the opening round. You know, I looked at the overall performance by Deontay Wilder. This was a totally different Deontay Wilder that we saw 20 months ago be manhandled by Tyson Fury. I think Malik Scott, there were question marks not because he wasn't a knowledgeable boxing guy, because he's a very knowledgeable boxing guy, but because he's an inexperienced coach, and a lot of people did not know what to expect. I think Malik did a tremendous job. There is no doubt about that. And even Tyson came out and said the Deontay Wilder that I fought tonight was a much different guy than I fought the first 2 times. Now, that's a credit to Malik. I think he showed a platform for himself moving forward with the results that he didn't get the win, but there was a lot of good work that Deontay Wilder did in that fight. And what he showed in the first round, he showed an ability. He came out with that jab to the body, and he repeatedly went back there, and we're all going, oh, nice. He's going to set his right hand up. He's not just going to show it and throw it like we're used to seeing, but he's going to try and disguise it, and he's going to add some skill to his game. Now, that was Malik. And I was very, was pleased to see that. But of course, once the first round was in the bag and we started rounds 2 and 3, Tyson very quickly made the adjustment. He got his distance. And once he started landing the right hand, the signs were going to be bad. And of course, with the knockdown coming in the 3rd round, we were sort of thinking, okay, that extra weight that Malik's carrying, that Deontay's carrying, he's a little slower now. Tyson's touching him with the right hand. And it was a credit to Wilder and his team. And you've got to give Malik part of that credit, the way he turned it around and nearly pulled off a sensational victory in the 4th round.
Kev,
and Raz, also, just let me say, and in those later rounds, watching the fight, and I had really great seats and watched it closely, and I thought the weight was always going to be an issue, carrying 238 pounds. From the 6th round on, I thought Wilder was exhausted. So the fact that he was able to last until getting knocked out in the 11th, a lot of that was the cornering and the support and the enthusiasm that he was receiving in the corner.
We always say in the heavyweight division, one punch can change anything. But when after the bell of the third round went and they both went to the corners, I personally, I'm not going to lie, I thought Deontay's going to do well to survive the whole of round 4.
Yeah.
But he somehow got this, obviously we know he's got this punching power, but this will and desire came. He knocked Fury down twice, almost got him out of there. Fury just beat the count. Did that surprise you that he was able to do that?
Oh my God, it shocked everyone, because I think everyone in the crowd was sort of thinking, oh, the signs are bad. You know, he's going to get him out faster than he did in fight 2. You know, Deontay done well to survive the third round. And I think, you know, maybe at the beginning of round 4, you know, Tyson needed to be put in check a little bit. You know, when a guy is wounded, they become very, very dangerous. And, you know, when your main weapon is a right hand and things aren't quite going your way, you're going to throw that weapon. And, you know, Tyson went jumping in with a 1-2, which personally I thought was the silly thing to do. He could have just been smart, busted him up from the outside with the jab, been in total control, then lined him up and got him out of there. But he wanted this jumping in with a spectacular 1-2, and he walked into a right hand, and it nearly changed the result of the fight. And sitting down after the fight with some friends who actually I'd watched fights 1, 2, and 3 with, and we were going over the 3 fights, and we were all saying, well, we could have been sitting here tonight saying, you know, after a great third round, what an unbelievable finish in round 4, because all Deontay Wilder needed was another 20, 30 seconds in the 4th round, and I think the fight may have been over. It just shows you the heart, the resilience, the character of Tyson Fury, the furious will to win, the fact that the guy's made out of another cloth. You know, Harry survived the 4th round and came back out in the 5th round under heavy fire immediately, got his legs under him, and then started going about his work. And, you know, after about the first 30 seconds in the 5th round, it was over. It was just a matter of when Fury was going to get to him. But I mean, you know, for a guy to be able to get up like that, who just refuses to lose, refuses to stay down when he's knocked down. We saw it in the first fight. It was miraculous. It was like Lazarus coming back from the dead. You know, and we saw it again this time, especially the second knockdown in round 4. You know, Tyson was badly hurt. But the character and the strength and the determination, the fact that in 60 seconds, not many guys would have been able to recover in 60 seconds and come back out to face the fire that he had to face in the beginning of round 5. He is a special individual, mate. He's one of a kind. There is no doubt about that.
Kev, what did you make at the end of the fight? Tyson Fury went over to Deontay. Look, they shared 32, 33 rounds together. Yeah. Epic rounds, and as you mentioned, knocked down numerous times, both of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fury went across and, you know, shake his hand and say, listen, I was a better man tonight, but respect and being humble about it. But Deontay just didn't show any humbleness or affection back. Now, what was your kind of analysis of that?
Well, you know, I didn't like it because let's remember, you know, there's been a lot of bad blood. This is not just marketing and hype and promotion. These guys don't like each other, and there's been a lot of really hurtful insults right throughout this trilogy. And we know with the 20 months that we've waited since fight 2, we know that Deontay Wilder was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his legacy. You know, he was so humiliated and embarrassed after fight 2. He gave every single ounce that he had in this third fight. And like, you know, sure, he had to be gutted. You know, he was this close away from getting his belts back and restoring some mana. But, you know, here he is at the end of his career, 45 fights in, getting more respect now than at any stage of his boxing career. I think his performance in the fight, it swept away the insults and the ridiculous excuses that he used after fight 2. You know, people were embarrassed for him. They were embarrassed for boxing. They were humiliated by what was coming out of his mouth. And I think his performance, the character that he showed, the heart that he showed, I think the reason why this was one of the great heavyweight fights and one of the great heavyweight trilogies was because, you know, Wilder refused to go down in fight 3. And I mentioned before, I thought he was shot after round 6. And he never got knocked out until round 11. And even in round 11, you know, rounds 9, 10, 11, everyone was waiting for that one punch off Fury to knock him out. There was still that 5% that Wilder could land a right hand and catch Fury when he was jumping in. So that's what made it so special.
No, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Kev, who possesses a harder fight for Fury? We know he wanted the Joshua fight. We know he'd like to become the undisputed champion. To become that, there's Usyk in the way. Out of the two, who would give Fury the harder fight?
Oh, Usyk by far. Like, you know, I think we know now. We knew before fight 3. We knew after watching Joshua and Usyk 2 weeks ago that Joshua wouldn't land a glove on Tyson Fury. You know, there were a lot of people that knew that. And I think it's one of the reasons why Tyson, like, you know, when he came into the gym on the Monday after that weekend, he was absolutely deflated and gutted because he knew there was $100 million paycheck sitting there against a guy that couldn't lay a glove on him. And he knew it. And I think a lot of people around Tyson knew it, that the style of Anthony Joshua was just not good enough against a skillful guy, a unique character like Tyson Fury. So obviously, Usyk poses a much bigger challenge for Fury than Joshua. And like that fight, it still may be there in the future, you know, Fury and Joshua, but it will never, ever have the same desire as what it had if it would have taken place this year.
Mm. Kev, I want to touch on this, end on this. Obviously, you must be a proud father as well. Your boy, Taylor, I know he's taken over your gym and ripped it all apart and put his favorite pictures up, but
he takes over everything. I'm working for him, Raz.
Hopefully he's paying you well.
He better start paying me better.
I saw him obviously in the ring as well. He's obviously was in the corner of Fury. How did that come about with Taylor being in the corner? I know he's good friends with the whole camp.
Well, he's got a nice relationship with Tyson, and he spends, you know, a bit of time with him between fights. And he actually he helped Tyson recently when Tyson was buying a house here in Vegas. And you know, Tyson likes the personality of Taylor. He had him in the corner with him for the Otto Wallen fight, and he asked him last year, before the COVID incident. He said, "Look, I want you back in my team. I want you in the corner." And then he went back to the UK and rang Tay up and said, "I mean it. You know, you're in my corner." And so, you know, Tyson's done all his sparring in our gym. You know that, you know, Taylor we've got a 16-foot mural of Tyson in our gym, which is pretty special, and it's got a lot of publicity. So like, he's a pretty special character. And for my son, someone who's young to the game, he's 26 years old. You know, he's been in, you know, he was with Joseph Parker right throughout his rise. He was been with Umar Salamov since he started with our team. You know, he's been in some big fights. I think now he's had 8 or 9 world title fights. So it's a great experience for him. He's come a long way in 26 years, and he is far more mature than his age. And I think he's a very good coach now. And I think in the future, he's going to be a great coach, and which makes me very proud. And I know my father, Kevin Barry Sr., was the Olympic and Commonwealth coach for New Zealand. And so, you know, I carried on the family legacy, and Taylor's doing a very good job and continuing that Barry legacy for us.
No, absolutely. And Kev, credit also goes to you, because without you bringing him the way you wanted and in the correct manner, he wouldn't be where he is also.
Thanks very much, Raz. He's a good boy. I'm very proud of him.
And I know he loves his trainers. We spoke briefly on his Instagram live the other day.
Yeah.
Kev, appreciate for you to give me a few wise words of Saturday night, and I'm sure we'll definitely catch up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, my mate.
Kevin Barry, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
See you, Raz.